In this video, we're going to do a monochrome painting in burnt umber exercise. So what we're going to do first is talk about the material we're going to use, and then I'm going to talk about the concept, why you would want to do a monochrome painting or monochrome sketch, and then I'm going to go through a couple demonstrations. I'm going to start with some basic still life, and then in part 2 of this video, we're going to do a figure torso demonstration using burnt umber, and part 2 is going to be available exclusively to subscribers, so make sure to subscribe to my free newsletter to get access to part 2. Okay, so here's the color we're going to use today. It's burnt umber, and I have a couple different tubes, and we're going to do watercolor, as you might be able to tell. And the reason why I like watercolor is because it's fairly inexpensive, and it's fairly easy to find, and especially if you're kind of new and transitioning, most likely you can go to almost any art store and find a watercolor kit. Now, if you like things like gouache or oils, feel free to use that. The materials really don't matter here. What's important is the concept, the principle, and that's what we're going to talk about now. And before we talk about that, I just wanted to show the two brands of watercolor that I recommend. This is M. Graham here, and this is my favorite watercolor brand. And there's a lot of different brands you can get. One of the more famous brands are the Winsor & Newtons. And if you can't find M. Graham's, I would say go for the Winsor & Newton. Another brand that I like is Holbein. And this is fairly common in Asia. That's where I'm making this video now. I'm in Asia. And you won't find M. Graham in Asia. So if you're outside of America, outside of the US, I would say get the Holbein. But if you can, I really love the M. Graham's Burnt Umber. Okay, let's take a look at what burnt umber looks like. Show you what you can do with burnt umber. And this is my burnt umber here already on my palette. This is my nice little pink towel. Don't worry too much about the towel. A water cup over here off screen. So I'm going to put a little bit of burnt umber down so you can see what the color looks like. So it's an earth tone. Earth tone is just a fancy artist word for brown. As you can see, it's nice and brown. And you can get pretty dark with burnt umber, and it depends on the brand. You can get nice and dark. You can thin it out, and you can get mid-tones. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to use burnt umber, thinning it out some more. So you can get pretty nice gradation using only burnt umber, which is great. So pretty nice effects. And we're not going to cover too much watercolor technique in this video, just a little bit. Like I said, I really want you to focus more on the concept, which is tonal, and that's what I want to talk about now. Is the concept. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to do a sketch only burnt umber? Well, there's two reasons. One is that if you are making the transition to painting, if you're brand new to painting and you've been drawing a lot, drawing your whole life, kind of like me a few years ago, and when I wanted to make the transition into painting, I was only good at drawing. This is a great place to start because it does two things. One, it gets your eye used to a color, which is, in this case, a nice dark brown and earth tone. Two, it gets you used to using a color medium. Obviously, we're using watercolor today, but it's radically different than drawing with a pencil or charcoal, whatever you may be used to as a pure drawer, pure draftsman. So that's the key. And also, the reason why we use burnt umber is because, like I said, it gives you a tonal approach, right? You go fairly dark to mid-tones. We can even get some lights, right, when we thin it out with water. So you can get a nice full range of value. We can get a nice range of tones. And the burnt umber isn't as saturated or intense or colorful as some of these other colors. So you can see, like, this is burnt umber here. Compare that to the orange, right? Look how orange and saturated the reds and oranges are, right? So if you're new to painting, you don't want to go too saturated, right? You want to start here. So this way, like I said, it's a great transition to begin your painting journey, because you'll be using a color, but you'll still be doing a tonal approach, which is essentially a drawing approach. And that's what we're going to do today. So now I'm going to show you a couple little demonstrations on how we can do that. Okay, so when I talk about starting painting, when you choose a subject, it's best to choose really simple subjects, obviously. So I'm just going to start with a nice little sphere. Again, the subject really doesn't matter. The medium doesn't matter. Let's talk about the concept, the principle. Just going to draw a little sphere and put it in an environment. My watercolor technique, to be honest, isn't that pure. You really supposed to go a lot slower than this, and I go really fast. I go too fast, too dark, which can be problematic. See this here, should let that dry a little bit. And then obviously you want to leave the white. So as you can tell, I kind of lost some of the highlight there. And now I'm going to try to go really dark, the shadow, create the illusion of light and shadow there. And I should have let that dry. So that's why it kind of looks a little funky. But you can see I'm basically focused on the tone. I'm not so worried about color. I don't have to worry about this whole palette here, this what I call an orchestra of stuff. I just have to worry about a tone. If you were to make this video grayscale, you could see that the tone reads, the values read, and that's the goal. That's the goal here, is to do a nice tonal sketch, a nice value sketch, really. So in a lot of ways, we're drawing with a painting medium. That's one way to think about it. We're drawing with a painting medium. So it's a lot of fun, and especially if you're not doing a video and you can take your time, unlike me, and then you can get some nice effects there. I'm trying this new paper, actually. There's a lot of different papers. If you read the article that goes with this video, you'll see the paper I recommend and where to get it. There's a lot of different papers. This is a Japanese watercolor pad that I'm trying here. So there's a nice little dots kind of going for it there. All right, so that's a simple form, just from imagination. I'm going to try another simple still life next. Okay, last little simple demonstration here. I'm going to use a little fruit, little apple. And for this, I'm going to start the drawing with a colored pencil here. Fruit's one of my favorite things to practice with because the forms are easy. You know, my philosophy is, at least where I'm at right now in my personal development, in my stages, I really like the rendering, the form, and that starts with good edges, of course, and also good value control. So the edge control, you know, that comes with understanding the medium, and watercolor is hard, I'm not going to lie. Very unforgiving. My little drawing. You probably can't see it on the video, huh? It's a little too light. Okay. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to try a little more, let's see, try a more aggressive approach. Try to go a little darker and then work my way in. So it's going to work exactly like the ball there. So if you want to follow along, this reference will be on the article. There, you can follow along there, or you can. What I recommend is just setting up your own little still life. And I know fruit may be boring. Some of you watching may be like, "Oh, Chris, I don't want to do an apple. My God, I'm too advanced for that. I'm too good for that, Chris. I'm too professional already. I don't want to do an apple." But believe me, if you're new to the medium, you're going to want to think simple. Try your best to, try. Oh, and I lost that edge. You see that? I lost that edge. That's okay. What you want to do is set up a really simple still life using your desk lamp. I have, in my little home studio there, I have little lights on stands, more studio lights for lighting figure models and things. But you don't need to go that far. You don't need to go that far. You can use a simple desk lamp. And, as long as you can get a nice, really dark shadow, that's the goal there. You want a nice dark shadow. So this one kind of lost there. Again, what I'm trying to do is not good technique. I'm trying to go too fast. In watercolor, ideally, you want to build up the value slowly. Wait for layers to dry. See, I'm not even waiting for it to dry. So it's kind of I'm losing control a little bit. Losing control of the edge. But the most important thing is that pay attention to the value. And we'll talk more about values as well when I get to the next demonstration, which will be a skull. So skulls are a lot more fun than apples. But I wanted to show you I wanted to start here so that you can get inspired, maybe that you don't need to do a complex object. You don't need to, do a portrait, for God's sake, right away. You don't have to go there. You can start with something very simple. Okay, before we begin, I wanted to talk about one of the most important processes when learning how to paint is how to see in value. And that's really the whole point of this exercise, is to train you to still see in value, to be able to see the inherent value of a color. And here's the reference we're going to use today. And this reference is from drawthis.com. So these wonderful people making excellent reference, and this is available on their website or their Facebook page. So if you want to follow along, you can download this for free at drawthis.com. Now, these three images you see here over on the left is the actual reference image. Now, the two on the right, these are what I call the value observations. Value observations. So this is really what I see when I look at any reference or anything I want to paint. I first look at what are the value shapes. Okay, and the one in the middle, that's a 2-value observation. The one on the right, the third image, that is a 3-value observation. Now the difference is slight, but the 2-value observation, the second image, is just the light and dark shapes. So if you look at image number 2 and compare it to the actual reference photo, you can see that there's a nice strong dark shadow and a nice strong highlight, light side. You can see a clear border. And that's really what you want to do as a painter, is to first get the shape and then work on the edge and things like that. It's exactly like drawing. That's why I wanted to show you this image, because really what we're doing as painters is we're drawing with color. Okay, and this is where we start. We first start with our mind. We first start with correct observation. Next, the final image number 3, the 3-value system or 3-value observation. And what this does is adds the third value in this case, which would be the highlight. So if you notice, or mid-tone, I guess, it's dark, light, and highlight, or dark, mid-tone, and light. So 3 values. It's something dark, something very bright. So just like the second image, there's a dark and the light, but now there's something in between. That's called the half tone. So if you look, if you compare image 2 and image 3 still has a dark shadow and a light side, but now if you look at the forehead, that forehead has a clearly brighter spot. And there's also some transitioning happening between dark and light there. It's called the halftone, but don't worry about that. It's not exactly a precise thing I'm showing you. This is just a little filter I use in Photoshop. But as an artist, you want to train your eye to see like this and then make decisions as to what to push into the lights, what to push into the darks. But that's a whole other topic. And I wrote a very in-depth article on that. It's called How to See in Value, and it's also a video. So here's the link right here. You also see it in the description, and it'll be in the article as well. How to See in Value. I wrote a very detailed article and video, so you can, if this concept is new to you, start there. Start there so that you can actually see correctly before you even begin painting. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now, is actually going to use these value observations, and then we're going to paint our reference. Okay, let's start the demo. And here's the little drawing that I did. Now, you don't have to do a drawing this detailed when you're starting a watercolor. Now, also, too, for the sake of this video, I'm actually going to blow dry the the washes in between, because I don't want it to look like crap. That's the thing about watercolor, is it's very slow. So in order for this video not to be 3.5 hours long, I'm going to blow dry in between the washes. So I'm going to start with a little, tiny little wash here. Put more water than pigment, because that's the traditional way to do this, is to you want to work fairly thin and light. You don't want to put a lot of pigment down right away. And even this is it's a little dark, I think, but that's okay. Move around a little bit there. Okay. It's a little dark, it's okay. And I'm using this big 1/2-inch washer, one of the brushes I like. And again, this will be in the materials list. So as you can see, what I'm doing is going over the shadow shapes. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you probably get so sick of hearing that, but it's worth repeating. Block in shadow shape. But if you haven't, if you're brand new to me, okay, the concept is we want to describe the separation of light and shadow, and we do that by defining the shadow shape, basically just trying to do my best to capture it into a two-dimensional graphic shape. So it's a very two-dimensional, 2D, flat way to think in the beginning, and then we use techniques, drawing techniques and things, essentially, even though it's a painting, to help our image or our image describe the form. Okay, so that's the concept. Thinking 2D first, flat graphic shapes first, and then we use our magic. I lied. I said I was only going to draw the rock, but I like I like these little flowers here. Really nice reference by drawthis.com. Wonderful things they do there. Hopefully they'll have the full library available soon. I know the company's still brand new. I actually had my own skull reference that I was initially going to use for this video, but because it had the lower jaw, so it had the friggin' teeth. And I was like, I ain't about to draw no dang teeth. That's gonna be crazy. So for that reason, I decided to use to draw this skull. I'm gonna put a lot of water down here. That was very tonal, a lot of fun to do, very tonal. You know, it's a lot like working with the ink. Maybe some of you may have done ink drawings, I-N-K, black ink. It's the exact same thing, water-based. Maybe some of you watching may have done black watercolor, or some of you watching maybe have done black oil paints or acrylics. So it's the exact same concept. Okay, so I let the watercolor dry a bit, or actually I hit it with a blow dryer. And just quickly wanted to show you where we're at so far compared to the reference. You can see what I'm doing is basically putting down the shadow shape, right? And you can see that the burnt umber, right, still very tonal. It's not like an intense, like the orange, right? So I'm getting the value shapes. So I'm still thinking a lot of ways like a drawing, like a tonal drawing, but now I'm using a little bit of color and a more colorful medium. Okay, let's get back to it. And really, now that the shapes are done, this is almost really almost complete, because now I just got to bring up the values, exactly like drawing again. And like I said, you probably, some of you watching may have done ink drawings past this exact same, pretty much exact same technique, everything. Oh, that's a little dark. I'm trying to be, trying to be a good watercolorist, trying to build up the value slowly. That's why I got my hairdryer, so that this video won't take 2 hours. I learned that trick from Nathan Folks, who was my watercolor teacher. And he's not a traditional watercolorist either. He uses gouache to go back. So he basically treats it like an oil painting, which is what I do. But again, you can do this exercise in oil paint, actually. It'll still work exact same way. So the medium doesn't matter. The subject really doesn't matter. What matters is the concept, and that we're thinking tonally. Even as a painter, we're thinking tonally, and we're thinking shapes at this stage. Value shapes, simplifying our values. And again, it's a huge topic, so make sure to review my other content on that. I have a whole free lesson on my website, free article on the composition, free composition lesson there. It's basically about value first. So thinking tonally, thinking shape, really no mystery here. What I'm doing now is just slowly going to build up the value. And again, watercolor, you want to do that slowly because you can't go back, obviously. Unlike oil paint or even gouache. Even gouache, you can still go back. By adding white, and we're not going to do that today, and we can't actually, unless we add white gouache. So got to be very disciplined, or try anyway. To be honest, this is the part where I always lose patience with watercolor. I'm more of a, alla prima. Alla prima means live at the first. It's Italian word. It means at the first. I like to paint in one sitting. I'm just not very patient. Whereas that's why I like oil versus watercolor. But watercolor is beautiful, and there's only some just effects you can never do and with any other medium, like the bleeds, obviously. But anyway, so tonally, thinking tonally here, building up the value slowly, thinking shape. And I'm also getting used to the medium. That's why even me, I've been watercoloring for years. I've been painting for years, but I still can get better at the medium. It's a brutal, unforgiving medium, and I'm still learning. Look at my paper, for God's sake! Look how it buckled. I should have taped it down. Now that I think about it, I'm gonna do that in the next video. That's for sure. I learned that lesson. Okay, we're almost done here. What I'm going to do now is try to go as dark as I can. And I'm going to put my dark in this corner, kind of work my way up to the face. So this is probably as dark as I can get here. I'm using almost very little water now with the burnt umber here. And as this wash you're seeing here dries, it'll get a little bit brighter. So I'll probably, if I want it to go really dark, which I do in this case, I'll probably come back with a one more wash of dark. Okay, now I'm going to go switch to a round for a little bit more detail, and I also want the nice dark here at the teeth in this cast shadow. So again, starting with a lot of pigment, not a lot of water. Almost finished with this little sketch here. I just don't want to do too tight of a rendering. You don't want this to be more about the concepts. And then you get to see a cool demo. You can see what's possible with only burnt umber. You can do some cool stuff with it. Hope to get you excited to try this exercise. And really, you know, if you've been drawing for a while, it's a great place to start. And you'll probably pick it up right away, at least once you get comfortable with the medium. The medium is quite brutal, as I'm sure you'll find out if you're new to watercolor. So what I'm trying to do is go really dark in the crevices there, inside the nose. I'd like the dark to be in the lower area. Kind of want to do like a little gradation, subtle gradation in the darks. Just like I want there to be a subtle gradation in the lights going. Lights getting slightly, ever so slightly darker as they go down into the lower half. So this looks pretty cool, right? Looks pretty cool. You can get a lot done. And I'll try to soften this edge if I can. I don't think I can. I just went too aggressive. So what happens when you go too dark too quickly, you don't get the edge that you want. And luckily this is a skull, right? If this was like a baby or a pretty girl or something that had a soft edge, I would be totally screwed. I wouldn't be able to recover from that. Yeah, sorry about the paper, guys, buckling a little bit. It's kind of blowing out. I'll make sure. I didn't think it would buckle this badly. The buckle means the paper is warping, as you can see. But I'll get a good scan of it, and then you will be able to, once it's dry, I'll get a good scan. You'll be able to see it a lot better light than in this video recording. I got some bright light shining on it right now, so it's probably buckling a little bit, or the image is blowing out a little bit in some areas. So forgive me for that. But that's about it, guys. Just going to keep going dark here. Probably do one more pass after I blow dry this. Pass dry. Do one more quick wash of darks, and then that'll be a wrap. Okay, I lied. I'm going to do one quick halftone wash using the big brush. I wanted to bring some of this dark over using the bigger brush. Try to get some cool effects. I want to bring this down. That's what I wanted. This is too bright right here. Just a little too bright. Too bright. So I want to kind of nullify some of these darks and try to leave this the white of the paper if possible. I love that dry brush look you can get. One thing that's common to painting and drawing, at least in my philosophy, is to vary your technique. So you want to try to get good, interesting technical variation in your marks. So this dry brush is really interesting compared to what I have there so far. Okay, that's it for this pass. Okay, here's a look at the finished skull study in burnt umber. So after the last wash dried, I just put in a couple of finishing touches. I really just kept building up the value. With watercolor, you have to do this very slowly. And then just put, a couple little bits of detail, like a couple cracks in the skull. And that completes this little burnt umber sketch. I want to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it inspires you to give this a try. Like I said, this is more about understanding the medium and understanding a tonal approach to painting. That's what you want to do when you want to begin painting. That's what this lesson is all about, is taking a tonal approach when learning the new medium of painting. And as you can see with burnt umber, you can do some cool things. You can get a lot done, and you can do some pretty cool sketches, pretty cool paintings with only burnt umber. So give this a try. Like I said, you can find more resources on the article on my website. That's www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can read the full article and check out the step-by-step text version. And you could also, over my website, you can sign up for my newsletter. Newsletter subscribers will not only get access to the newsletter that I write every month, but you'll get access to part 2. So the second demo in this series will be a figure. I'll be doing some torso studies in burnt umber. So you definitely want to check out part 2, and part 2 is going to be available only to subscribers. So once again, to access part 2 and to read the full article that goes along with this, all you have to do is go to www.drawwithchris.com. There you can enter your email and you'll get access to part 2. So that's it for this video. And until next time, get out there, keep drawing, keep painting, and build up that mileage. Bye for now.